everybody, what is happening? It's Bill with Franklin Loan Center. And oh my gosh, the headlines came out last week, foreclosures skyrocketing. If you look at the headlines, you think the sky is definitively falling in the real estate market. And look, the reality is foreclosures are continuing to tick up. We're seeing increases. The month-over-month numbers were really minimal, and they look at these numbers from all sorts of perspectives. But there's foreclosure starts, so that's who went into foreclosure, and then they also look at who actually got foreclosed on. Right? There's a long window of time, depends on the state. Everywhere's a little different, but it takes a while for someone to actually lose a house to foreclosure, and a large number of people that go into foreclosure manage to save the house and keep themselves out of foreclosure, right? So, so there's a lot of moving parts here. But the good news is well, I should say the bad news is we are continuing to see those numbers go up, which isn't a huge surprise. But what all the headlines sort of manage to leave out is on both foreclosure starts and actual foreclosure, so people that completed a foreclosure and actually lost their house to the bank or the auction, that those numbers are still significantly lower than even pre-COVID, right? So the numbers fell through the floor during COVID because there was a moratorium, and even then the numbers weren't zero. I mean, some people, I guess, just have their heads completely in the sand and didn't even realize that you could just you could stop anybody from the foreclosure. So anyway, long story short, the numbers were as low as they could really ever be during that period. And then they had a pretty steep run up after that, which of course you would expect as well, because there were some number of people that after the moratorium were gonna, look, they just weren't gonna be able to pull it together. So they came out of the moratorium and then still couldn't save the house. So they lost it. And then we've just been kind of trickling along for the last couple of years. And yes, there is a slight upward trajectory to these numbers, but they're still historically very, very low. And especially like you go back and compare it to like the '08 timeframe when it was out of control the other direction. But when you get back and even look at like 2018, 2019, we're still significantly below those numbers, right? So when you compare to a normal market, we're still very, very low, right? And so look, time's gonna tell here. Affordability has been a problem, all that good stuff. But to me, the real analysis here is, yes, we're seeing a run up, but is this indicative of some massive crash coming? Absolutely not. I mean, I just don't see that at all. It's just not in the numbers. The graphs don't show it. So just wanted to point that out. I mean, yes, the data's running up, but I mean, these sensational headlines that just crack me up that are like, foreclosures skyrocket. Yep, they ran up. The year-over-year numbers look somewhat ugly. There's no question about that. But the reality is even at these newer numbers, we're still like well below historical averages or historical norms. So that's it. Just, we'll keep an eye on this. I mean, it's always like it could turn on a dime, I suppose. But for now, not a lot to worry about on the foreclosure front. Don't expect because I already got a couple calls like, it sounds like foreclosures are coming up from buyers that are hoping to be able to dive on some of these. That's not a good strategy yet. So anyway, that's it. I'm Bill. I'm with Franklin Loan Center, and I'll see y'all next week.